All right. Okay, everyone. Welcome back to another Cryptopolitan podcast. My name is Anush. I'm part of the research team here at Cryptopolitan. And today I am super excited about our guest joining us and the conversation we're about to have. I'm joined by David Liberman, co founder of Gonka AI. Uh, for a bit of context, um, you have built across a pretty wide surface area, if I'm not wrong, from gaming and media to augmented reality and infrastructure. And today you're working at the intersection of AI, compute, and decentralized networks, which is honestly one of the most interesting places to be right now from my eyes. Um, and the reason I was particularly keen on this conversation is that AI feels like it's almost everywhere today. There's new models, there's new agents. We have Claude as well, which seems to be all over social media. But under the hood, the infrastructure that actually powers all of this is still incredibly concentrated. And that's where Gonka comes in, and why I think this is such a pertinent topic to actually be discussing today. So, in all honesty, I've spent the last few days reading and catching up about your work and the journey that led you here. So, I'm really excited to actually hear from you. And that's where I think this is a good moment for me to take a bit of a backseat and let you tell your story in your own words. So, David, welcome. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you,
And
Anish, for having me.
firstly, how are you doing? How's everything going?
Everything is pretty great. It was an amazing journey. How we get here. You're right that for us, it's all actually started from networks. Our first company, which we founded with my brother, it was an ISP network. We were just connecting all our neighbors to internet, and we were so excited about what this type of connectivity brings uh, to people and how communities emerged around them. That's how we got to gaming. We haven't started just a game. We wanted to build online games because we actually saw a quite different potential for such products to unite people and create a place for to communicate, to be creative, and to build something together. And but when you start with games, you quite soon, like we quite soon realize that most of the hard work will be around art, animation, and things like that. And we are engineers, like we are not artists, so we were struggling to scale this type of production. Brought really a great team of artists, but still it was a bottleneck for us. And that's how we got into computer vision to AI. We started utilizing these technologies much earlier than it started to be cool. Like we had first implementation in 2009, and using these technologies, we got to a, a place where we had one of the fastest production in the world in terms of animation, and we saw what it is possible when you use machine learning for first with for animation. And if you look at the history of um, machine learning and what's we called right now AI, actually animation, fun videos, or fun things were the first to come. Why? Because they are not as critical. Like if you make a mistake, it's okay. Everyone will just have a laugh, and you, no one, like, it's not like surgery when you cannot
Yeah.
make mistake or some critical production, critical infrastructure. That's why if you look at the history of development of these technologies, they all started with computer graphics. So at least the improvements of the models, improvements of the this architecture start from computer graphics, and we were part of this movement and part of this. It was few companies who made a success in this area. Um, like for example, Luxury from Ukraine, from Odessa, they were acquired by Snapchat, and
Yeah.
everything which you know about lenses at Snap, it was their work. So they were one of the pioneers in utilizing this machine learning for AR in computer vision. And our company was also acquired by Snap in 2016. Same wave. Still, it was pre language models. Language models at that moment, they were quite experimental. You wouldn't recognize anything special from the texts which were generated at that moment. But this started this movement and accelerated the development. Uh, Also, gaming played quite a bit of the role with GPUs. This is what draw the main driver also of the growth of AI is the growth of compute capacity, compute potential of the hardware, which was developed by NVIDIA. It was all for games. So, so computer graphics games, these industries, they played an important role in establishing of this industry. Um, but then ChatGPT came and and disrupted, and it changed the whole course of it. Even though image generation, video generation still plays quite significant role in the market as well.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fascinating. Like you said, once ChatGPT rolled on, I think the rest is history, right, as they say. Um, but I think it's interesting listening to that because, you know, like I mentioned earlier, you've worked across some very different spaces, right? Gaming, media, AR, now AI infrastructure. I suppose one of the most intriguing aspects of this, and the question I had in mind, is that when you actually look back at all of this, is there a sort of common thread in the kinds of problem you're drawn to? Right. The reason I'm asking this is because it almost feels like there's a clear way you think about choosing problems, even if the domains change. Right.
Yeah, so for sure, first, um, you should be passionate about optimizing stuff. So, like
Yeah.
we wanted to optimize this animation production, and mm, we just were so obsessed with this task. That's why when we heard that from different leaders from the industry that it's not possible, that the AI don't give really good results for animation, we still wanted to try. And like in AI field, it was an important quality because if you look at people who are they created this industry, like Ilya Sutskever, for example. Yeah. For years, people don't believe that this approach will work. People believe that it's just random numbers and they will never generate the results. So you needed to have this conviction. Conviction,
Yeah.
I think that was important. But also, I think that big role here was the concept of world model. All language models, they also world models. Animation or video generation, Gen AI project, they all about building world model. When we wanted to automate animation, We wanted the machine to understand things, to understand like what it sees and like in what does it mean and how it translates into the product which we wanted to create. Um, Ilya Sutskever had quite a great podcast in the past about the idea that language models are inherently world models, which extract the entire knowledge of humanity and create this idea about the world as it is. So I think that these two intersection can definitely describe our path through games, through animation, and then through AI infrastructure.
Amazing. Um, yeah, I think I also had a question regarding, from your point of view, right? Uh, there's like right now, like I mentioned as well, AI feels incredibly visible, right, on the surface. Uh, but if you actually peel back the layers, the infrastructure underneath, it's still pretty tightly held or, almost centralized. Uh, but from your point of view, what's the real sort of bottleneck people tend to underestimate in this space currently?
Yes, I would say that for sure the bottleneck is compute. And this is a little bit tricky. You know, there were multitude, there were many tracks, like many discussion tracks, that new architecture is needed. But some scientists, like for example Ilya, they believed that we primarily need the scale. We just need
Mhm.
more compute, and the models will work, and the new type of qualities will emerge just by scaling these models. And even though it is obvious right now, and you see that Meta, OpenAI, Google, XA, they all build like the bigger and bigger data centers. But 10 years ago, it wasn't really the most popular idea that you can just 10x your compute power and you can get quite new qualities of those models. But Ilya and some other scientists, they believe in that and they managed to push it through and they got this $1 billion worth of compute in 2017, I think, from Microsoft.
Mhm.
This was the first kind of tranche. And they showed that by increasing the amount of, like the number of parameters of those models, they become this beautiful systems, the artificial intelligence systems. Um, and then when we can imagine that we need 100x from that, we start to be limited by all the GPUs, all the TPUs, which were produced by them. That's what slowed down the progress. That first steps were easier to achieve just because we already had this hardware produced and installed in data centers. So the belief in the was enough to increase the compute power 100x.
Yeah.
But then we just consume all the available GPUs on the market, and we needed to have more hardware, and hardware is much slower
Yeah.
to progress.
Yeah.
So NVIDIA cannot really produce next year 100x of what they produced in the previous year. But we
Yeah.
can do it in software, but not in hardware. So hardware started to be this bottleneck.
Mm.
And then the policies on top of that, uh, which limited how this hardware can be distributed, in which concentrated the power in just in the hands of just few corporations, um, um, because they are allowed to buy most of the hardware which is produced currently. This where um, we all already can see um, the the results of this bottleneck and the concentration of power which came with that.
Yeah, I think that was spot on and pretty insightful. I think because of just the sheer innovation that's taking place in this sort of sector, my follow-up to that question was, what was your sort of, aha moment almost, where you realized this wasn't something you could just patch on top of, existing cloud infra, and that it actually needed a different approach altogether? Was there a sort of inflection point where this came into like a realization?
Yes, there were several. I think that the first was for sure ChatGPT, even ChatGPT version 2
Mm.
was already ChatGPT 3.5 already showed that it will be massive because it's the first technology which speak with us in our own language. So it's inherently scalable. Like everyone can use it. There is no limitation. Every person on Earth who use a chat can use ChatGPT. So it was obvious that it will be a technology which used by billions of people. But then we saw how um, the this competition between several corporations, because all of them realize that it's kind of ultimate competitive advantage. If you don't have it, you lose. So several companies they just start to acquire all the GPUs available, and then policies came. Um, it's even like it was during previous administration, which sets the limits on how many GPUs a country can acquire. And at that moment, we realized that um, we will come to mm, this state where only few companies have access to the compute which is needed for to serve such services uh, to developers or to final users. And we realized that this is not the future we wanted. Because even in the past, even back like 10 years ago, when we were part of different discussion groups, which discussed um, the potential issues and danger of AI. For us, it was obvious that most of the negative scenarios they would happen if the AI compute is concentrated. And when we saw that this is what's happening, we realized that the risks, not only like for us, but for the entire humanity, is they are growing pretty fast. And they growing not because AI will be too smart, but because AI will be controlled just by um, uh, few decision makers. And it's never good for humanity when
Sort
such things are too concentrated. Um, and um, and we looked at uh, decentralization, look at different projects which build um, infrastructure for such compute. But we realized that they're all too small. Yes, so they all have not enough compute capacity compared to what OpenAI, let's say, or Google are building right now. So we realized that this is results of some decisions which were made in the very beginning of these projects when they only were created, and realized that likely to make a difference, another protocol should emerge, which will be based on different assumptions, which will allow this network to grow to comparable size.
Yeah, I think that lends itself naturally to discussing Gonka now. Now, I've been in the crypto space for a decent amount of time. We hear the term decentralized AI quite a bit. And to be honest, it can sound pretty abstract even in this space, right? Now, if you had to explain uh, Gonka to someone who has never interacted with decentralized systems, how would you usually explain it in the simplest way possible? Plus, a follow up to that, my second part of that question would be, who do you see getting the most value out of it right now?
Yes, so when you write a message to ChatGPT, it will go to a server in some data center. And it's quite expensive equipment, I should say. Like it seems that you just sent like a simple message, but to process this and to give you the answer, you need a machine worth of like $500,000.
Mm.
So remember that every time when you send this type of request. Yes, this machine can process many requests at the same time, but you need to have a quite expensive equipment to make it happen. Imagine now that this message can go not to Google data center or Microsoft data center, but it can go to a one of the servers of the community which joined forces together and which connected such equipment to a network. Now the system can serve you with the responses without like independently from centralized infrastructure, and at the same time, this network can belong to people,
Yeah.
not just to a couple corporations. And this is as easy as that. So just these requests can be routed uh, to to a server in for example, Luxembourg or in Singapore or in the state, and it can belong to independent miners, which is usually
Right.
called independent hosts around the world.
Mhm.
And this is the simple concept. Uh,
Mhm.
then the only question is how to build this network so that you can trust, uh,
Mhm.
because there are like thousands of individuals around the world, how you can trust them. And this is where blockchain field was the most needed, because blockchain could solve the problem of trust, how we can actually join the forces, but to trust each other. And you're right, there are many actually beautiful, great projects out there which already built decentralized AI infrastructure. You're right that some of them just abstract; they don't really serve any purpose. But there are projects which are they're beautiful. They work. They actually serve. They influence in this way. So crypto industry um, it's built for trust. Like for example, when Bitcoin was introduced, the main thing which was solved is immutable ledger, so that if you send a transaction, no one can modify it, no one can affect it. This will be written in the ledger, and you can trust that this transaction happened. Then Ethereum introduced immutable contracts. Same thing. You send a transaction and you can be sure that exact contract will be executed. No one can affect it. No one can stop it. None of the governments or corporations or none of the hackers can stop it from happening. And this was also like this is what created DeFi and open up all the projects around different type of assets or NFTs or things like that. Now we need the same for AI, because that when you write a question to AI or you use it as a developer, you know for sure that the response which you get is defined only by model and no one can intervene with that. No one can affect that. And if we can be sure in that, then we can build a decentralized network. Then for sure we can connect. I can connect my server. You can connect your server. And other individuals around the world can connect servers together. And now we have a network which will be larger than anything which is built by uh, big tech corporations.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the point on the evolution that we're seeing with blockchain tech, like you mentioned, from Bitcoin to smart contract, and we got different layer ones with different use cases, purpose-built chains even, and now we have blockchains for AI as well, right? So the use case is expanding, but the foundational layer is that trustless system, right? And I
Yes,
think
this is the
that
main.
is, yeah, that's the key. And that's what I think I have been sort of, preaching almost and telling people that this is the foundation of the tech behind crypto. Of course, there are speculative avenues in crypto as well. But like any other market that's growing, there's definitely projects that have plenty of utility, right? Um, and this is just one avenue where blockchain is tapping into. I think that was really fascinating.
Yes, so the security is the main thing, the
Yep.
thing that you can trust. This is what blockchain provides. If you
Mm,
want to build any network of the participants, you either have a centralized authority or you need to build a different type of trust, algorithmic trust. And that's
yeah.
where crypto fields was the crypto projects. They were a solution for that kind of problems. But also
Mhm,
there is another important part of uh, decentralized projects and tokenomics. If you
mm,
look at, if you think about Bitcoin as infrastructure of miners who connected their compute power to the network, it is amazing infrastructure. $300 billion were invested in building this infrastructure. It's comprised of data centers, which together have 23 gigawatts of
mm,
power. It is actually more than OpenAI, XAI, Microsoft, Amazon, Google combined. So this is what we all should understand. Like it seems that they are invincible. Like how come we all can gather forces together and be more than what those corporations are building. They are like $5 trillion companies, like $4 trillion companies. It's impossible to compete with them. But Bitcoin showed that it's not true. That actually more data centers around the world by power were connected to the network, and they all made it in a profitable way when they mine bitcoins and they use the proceeds to build even more infrastructure, and that's what's also beautiful around crypto projects. And there are other examples. Filecoin is 10 million terabytes of storage. Few people realize, but it's a really huge infrastructure in terms
yeah.
of storage capacity. So that's where we saw the opportunity that if your tokenomics aligns with infrastructure builders, and the only way to align it is proof of work,
Mm,
then there is um, um, there is mm, with this alignment, efficiency comes, and the infrastructure which can be built when this tokenomics presented can definitely compete with the major players, major centralized players, which currently own the market.
Right.
And that's where we saw the opportunity. We saw that if Bitcoin showed us already that it can be the biggest data center around the world, can we actually build the biggest AI data center using the same principle, using the security, which we already mentioned, but also tokenomics, which allow people to predict their earnings from the infrastructure which they build and connect more and more of the hardware to the network.
Yeah, I think that's super fascinating. Definitely intriguing as well. Now, I suppose I'd like to touch upon a little bit on the milestones aspect of things, right? I've seen and I've heard what Gonka AI is doing, and I'm personally super excited to hear more about it and see more about it on my feed. Uh, but just going over the roadmap, what's Gonka looking like in the future, and what's the future outlook looking like right now?
Yeah, so it's definitely a quite young project. Like it is only like 5 months old right now, which is amazing in terms of what scale it's already managed to achieve. We have more than 10,000 data center grade GPUs in the network. It is like 3 times, like 4 times larger than what B10s are managed together through 4 years of existence. So we definitely see that these principles of proof of work tokenomics work pretty well to build this beautiful community of more than like 12,000 people right now on Discord. And so this is really hard core community which wants to make a difference in the world by introducing the alternative to the big tech infrastructure. So definitely, with that in mind, what's important is to make sure that this infrastructure works for developers. The developers can actually build different projects, and the more projects um, should be built on the network. And this is definitely a focus for the entire community to make sure that we serve the best, like the network serves the best all type of use cases in future, all types of the models. Like for example, currently only text models were in the network, while for sure maybe developers would want to see image models, video models, and things like that. So I think that it will kind of happen in parallel. That first, miners themselves right now like work a lot on optimizing the network, make sure that it's prone to attacks. And communities is really awesome in terms of making sure that each participant, each host, each miners have the tools to secure their hardware. But at the same time, community right now is really focused on making sure that the network also produce great service for developers community around the world who build different AI applications. So I think that these two are major important kind of uh, subjects in the community right now. And if we look at how the network can look like in a year from now or in 2 years from now, I think that definitely we would love to see the network which would be of size of Colossus or Stargate. So 10,000 right now compared to million, there is still uh, um, a progress to be made to get there. But we were at 60 GPUs just 5 months ago. So
Wow.
from 50, we got to 10,000 so fast, so that we do believe that
Yeah.
this community have the power to get to millions of GPUs. What
Yeah.
also would be important milestone in we see this uh, progress growing around this network, that this network has the potential to kickstart the same um, uh, hardware innovation process, which we saw with Bitcoin or Ethereum in the past, when miners started to develop their own hardware, ASICs, which was much more efficient than GPUs and CPUs for those tasks. And 2 months ago, the big investment in ecosystem was made by Bitfury. They were uh, the earliest mm, industry-grade ASIC producer for Bitcoin in the past. Why they love this project so much? Because they understand that proof of work is something which they understand, and they understand that the next stage for them will be to actually introduce new chips to the market, which will be much better than what NVIDIA can demonstrate right now. And we really believe in this track, even though like we personally cannot do anything with that. Like we're not like hardware producers, but we know that by making sure that this protocol is the best protocol to join for this type of um, infrastructure builders, then the hardware innovation will follow. With the tokenomics in place, the hardware innovation will follow. So imagine that we can see in a couple of years from now, the network with not just million GPUs, but with million ASICs, which are like 10 times more efficient than the GPUs, the regular GPUs in the market. Then the the possibilities, like where the what we unlock with that
Yeah.
for developers, because they can build whatever they want, whether it's voice or video or images. It all will be possible and so cheap for developers. That's why more and more services will be built on top of the network. And they won't be only limited by like crypto related services, but just regular developers will also pick this network as a source of compute. So that's what we see and envision for this network. For
Yeah, I think um, the vision almost seems limitless in my eyes, right? And also, I already see the sort of pace of innovations that's been taking place in the past 5 months. So I'm super personally very, very excited to hear more about the project. And I'm definitely going to be keeping eyes on the project and see how things develop. Um, Now, to wrap up our conversation for today, I think a lot of individuals will likely have this question, including myself. Uh, for builders in this space right now, what do you think matters far more than people realize, and what matters far less?
yes, I think that uh, first, if you follow the field, if you want to be part of the movement, please join our Discord. It's an amazing community. You will find a lot of people like uh, with the same mindsets. And I think what's important is that people who right now join this movement is quite close to what crypto used to be, like 15, 10 years ago, when it was this industry was started by people who were really passionate about the change. Yes, many many of them become rich out of this process, but it wasn't the first thing for them. The first thing for them was that they wanted to change the world. They wanted to free finance from the institutions, and they want to give this gift to humanity. And that's the same what we see right now with this movement. That people who join, yes, they understand the tokenomics, they understand why, like what is the financial angle for this project. But they join because they believe in the movement. They believe that this should be solved because it's danger for all of us if it's too concentrated. It's many of us can lose their job and won't be able to find themselves in the whole market if AI will not belong to people. And that's what we like about this project, that it first attracts people who really want to see the change. Even though, like a year ago, many questioned this narrative. They said, like crypto is pump and dump, and memes, and like memes were on the hype at this moment, and everyone said you don't look like a meme, that's why you won't be successful. So still, we had a different belief. We believe that people, like some people, would want to join the movement, that people would want to be part of the change which should happen, and that actually this will create a more long-term economics as well for the projects, because people who would join, they will understand that they were building something important together. And that's what I like about this part of crypto industry compared, for example, to some other parts, which are driven by different type of people, which are driven by different type of ideas. But here we saw the really wide appeal for people around the world who, when they heard not about the tokens, but when they heard about why it's important to the world, they wanted to join. And we really hope that we will have the world when the most passionate and the most dedicated people will also earn most. you know, People who believed in this project 5 months ago, it was just 8 miners, but they were true believers, and they connected the first GPUs. They earned more tokens than others who joined later. And this is beautiful about the thing, that the belief is what drives economics as well. And in the people who really want to change, they will join much earlier than the rest. And I think that this was important, and this is what's beautiful about this project, about the community. You will see how positive the community is. Usually people just yell on each other in the really not pleasant in the conversation, but Gonka community is so supportive, and everyone is trying to contribute for the project to be successful. And I really love the fact that this is the most important for this project, and I really hope that this will create a really great alignment between the hosts, the developers, and humanity in whole.
Yeah, I completely agree with that fact that, if you're in this space with that belief, the beauty of this space is that it actually does reward that belief, right? And that's something that I've seen play out with many people in this space, whether it be devs working on Solana for for a neobank or like any sort of project, right? But if they have that core belief that this is something that's going to change um, humanity and finance as we know it, and just tech in general, uh, somehow the feedback loop comes back to them, right? uh, and it's not a chance, right? It's not that it's taking the chance to say that, okay, will this actually reward me? The system is designed in that way, right? It's just that you need to be able to have that conviction to follow through. And I think that's something that we've seen play out over cycles and cycles and cycles. And I think it's going to continue doing that as well. Uh, but yeah, I mean, this has been such an insightful conversation. It's been amazing and really eye-opening one for me, and I hope for our audience as well. Um, so, David, I just want to thank you firstly for taking the time and for walking us through not just Gonka, but the thinking behind building in this space. I really, really enjoyed this one. Uh, and to everyone listening in as well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Cryptopolitan podcast. Uh, we leave it there for today. Is there any parting words of wisdom, David, that you would like to give our audience before we say bye?
So thank you again for inviting me. I think that we all feel that important processes are happening right now, that AI is changing the world. It can be a, a tool which will empower all of us and will bring a general abundance in the world, or it can be a tool to suppress most of us and to put a lot of like control on all of us. And whether we will choose the first future or the second ones, it's on us. It You really can affect it by joining the movement. You really can be part of the solution, and it's really a rare um, um, chance for mm, us all to have such uh, great impact on the world. So this would be my last word for all of you. Just think about it and think that is actually you can make a difference right now, and we can all bring genuine abundance available for every human on earth.
Fantastic. I think we can end the stream for everyone on that note. Thank you so much once
Thank you.
again, David.
Thank you so much.